This video presents content from Chapter 4 of the book, Sustainable Living and World Peace. This video is the third of 3 videos on a section entitled America's Brand of Freedom and How We Portray It to the World. An excerpt from a Douglas MacArthur speech shown in the beginning of this chapter of the book states the effects that abolishing war would have on authoritarian governments. He says, "It would reduce immeasurably the power of leaders of government and thus render more precarious totalitarian or autocratic rule. The growing and dangerous control by an individual over the masses, the socialistic and paternal trends resulting therefrom, is largely by virtue of his influence to induce war or maintain peace. Abolish this threat, and the position of Chief Magistrate falls into a more civic perspective." End quote. In a sense, our leading through intimidation and threats actually strengthens the position of authoritarian governments who portray themselves as a strong-arm protector of the people and nation. If we were to eliminate the perception people have of us as being a threat or manipulator and replace it with a perception reflective of our virtues and values, how could that affect the establishment of their government under the control of the will of the people? Not pursuing a foreign policy that involves leading with our attack dog, interfering, coercing, or meddling does not mean we need to become isolationists and have no involvement where we see problems. We should not look to disengage or retreat when we see nations and people in need, but we always need to lead from a position promoting sustainable peace and the values of freedom and independence we hold dear. Our foreign policy toward troubled or troubling nations or any nation should include actively portraying and explicitly conveying our beliefs in freedom, equality, and independence, and our intentions of treating other peoples in accordance with our beliefs. We can always put our best foot forward when others are not. Respecting other nations' sovereignty and letting other nations and people always believe that we are for the people will help bring about results in positive ways that reflect the best things we are about. The goodness we should look to spread should not mean that other countries' governments and national systems need to be set up like how they are in the United States. Our system may not work out as well in another country with a different history and social structure, especially if they are in a transitional stage. We need to be careful that we are not simply looking to liberate people of other nations from their current system, whether they wish it or not. Their governments and national systems will need to be tailored to their specific beliefs and customs, and should originate through their own needs, wants, and efforts. The goodness we can help with is the support of personal and national freedom of choice while living in peace through mutually assured respect, not mutually assured destruction. The historical perspective and social framework of a particular country have directed the evolution of its economic and political situations. Although they will be influenced by what they see working in other countries and what they admire in highly functional countries, the most sustainable economy and political system for the people of any country would be one devised by the people. The people of that country know their situation, wants, desires, and expectations better than anyone else in the world. Any economic or political system will only be sustainable if the country's particular economic, social, and environmental conditions are considered and the people have a chance to fashion their country's structure. National sovereignty, self-determination without interference, and the will of its people are the best ways to preserve the culture, social structure, natural history, environmental quality, and economic potential of any nation. We can always be willing and ready with our support and let the people of all nations know that we stand for what is best for the people. However, there is not a one-size-fits-all model for sustainability for every nation, even though all nations would have the underlying goals of sustainable economic, social, and environmental conditions. No matter what a country's economic, political, social, and religious preferences are, personal power virtue, then manifesting itself in all levels of society, should guide people to strive to create what is best and most sustainable for everyone. Media and technology are creating a smaller world where it is increasingly easy to see how other people are living and what is happening to them. The world will only get smaller in this sense. No matter how people learn of our beliefs and see our actions, our virtues and genuine concerns for equal treatment and opportunity should be projected throughout the world. Even while we are doing this, media smearing or a propaganda campaign against us by other leaders could happen in other countries if they see something they can gain from this. However, if we are always living and leading by our virtues, then exaggerations or lies against us would seem shallow compared to our proven track record of being on the side of the people as they have come to expect from us. The message that we are about equality, freedom of choice, and fair treatment among peaceful groups is a message that must be spread, and it must be clear that we are not trying to put down or attack any particular belief or religion. We want to ask ourselves, what is America's role in the world considering our virtues and our understanding of equality and human freedom in our efforts to help the world towards sustainable living and world peace? Then we need to ask ourselves also, what can I personally do to help bring about these positive changes? We need to be more involved in expressing and displaying to the world our rightness. In order to do this, we all must fully understand what America is about and the source of where our goodness originates. In addition to efforts of communication, negotiation, and serving as a positive model for the world to see, we must conceive of other ways, especially on a personal and individual level, to get across to people of other nations what we are about. How do we lead, not only by example, but in other more active ways, to promote our rightness to the world? What are our choices? Assume individual responsibility in efforts to bring about PAL sustainability. Always try to look for things you can personally do to further sustainability and world peace without having to rely on leaders or forces outside of yourself or your direct control to do it.